Continuing their venture to kill the Ant Queen deep in the tunnels of Mount Hala, the Korean S-rank hunters have encountered the Queen's royal guards, who are challenging to even the S-rank hunters. We see Dong-wook, who is seen defending himself from the guards' fierce attack with his gigantic shield. He recognizes the sheer power of the ants, but also knows that he can overpower these dull ants with tactics. He calls Hai-in, who gracefully jumps over Dong-wook, impales the ant's head with her sword, and proceeds to slice it in half, using her feet to push her sword through the ant's whole body. She regains her stance to fight against another royal guard, and severs the ant's head from his body. She remarks that the ants are stronger than she expected. Dong-wook is thankful that even though these guards are stronger than the normal ones, they are few. Dong-wook is reassured by Byung-gu, who will support the team with his healing abilities. Yoon-ho taunts him, saying he may not be a wimp after all, which he counters by pointing out his rookie mistakes during the battle. He punches an ant into the ground and advises the rest of the team to chop off the ant's legs and arms, as they can live up to 10 minutes after their heads are destroyed. Yoon-ho notices that these ants are from the first generation and will be facing ants from the second generation and above. In response, Byung-gu starts casting a spell that envelopes them in an aura representing the buffs they have received from the spell that will allow them to take on multiple enemies at once. We then see an army of ants waiting for them in the cave's darkness, with only their red glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. Byung-hu offers to help, but his offer is instantly turned down by Yoon-ho, who is exhilarated by the buffs and asks for support from the rare. On the other side of the battle, we spot Team Delta being sent to check up on Team Charlie, who has been unresponsive for a while now. They reach where Team Charlie was placed to see the aftermath of a battle with ant carcasses scattered around. Kei notices what seems to be Fujishima's glasses covered in blood. Kei's strong sense of smell gets a putrid odor that disgusts and frightens him to his core, which he can sense approaching closer. Kei powers up and casts a spell creating a massive ice attack that freezes a huge portion of the forest in front of him to protect himself. He stares at the ice he created just for it to be broken by what seems to be a slash from a monster, splattering what we can assume to be his blood onto his ice. We see that back in the tunnels, the S-rank hunters have cleared out all the ants in less than 5 minutes. Byung-gu had added wings to Hae-in's back as her buff, and she could kill twice as many ants as Yoon-ho. The hunters have around 30 minutes until interference wave transmission stops, letting the ants communicate again with the queen, and they just have to figure out how to beat the queen. Hae-in picks up a smell that she thinks is the queen's odor, who seems to be with her guards. Yoon-ho checks the cave and sees the humongous queen ant protected by 8 other guards. Everyone starts powering up to their maximum strength, as having any mana left over would be a complete waste. Dong-wook will be dealing with the queen and asks the others to take care of the guards. Jong-in creates a powerful dragon made up of flames ready to set ablaze anything in its path, while Cha Hai-in provides cover from behind, and Yoon-ho stops holding back and transforms into his beast transformation, ready to exterminate the guards protecting the queen. The battle erupts with entrusting Hae-in to put their strategy into action, with her using an attack by planting her sword into the ground and releasing a massive surge of energy. This attack is called the concussive taunt, which makes her the primary target, such that the rest of the team and her can take care of all the bodyguards, while Dong-wook keeps the queen occupied, being the queen's huckleberry. The cameraman, stunned looking at the battle taking place, realizes that it has gotten more intense than before. He gets notified from the news headquarters that they have reached 80% viewership across the whole of Korea, and thinks that with a little more they can break the record for highest viewership. Just as he thought this, he is pulled back by Byung-gu, who reminds him that this is an S-ranked boss, and that if he doesn't take responsibility of his life, he might end up losing it here, and if he understands that he should stay behind him. The cameraman is in awe at the thought of the true strength of Byung-gu, even though he is a healer. The scene shifts to a house in a city in South Korea, where an elderly lady tells her husband that the hunters are finally going to bear the ants and the queen this time, to which the old man pessimistically remarks that they always say that and never can beat them. Through the conversation, we get to know that their son has passed away in one of the previous raids against the ants. The elderly woman, having given up on trying to convince her husband to join her to watch the raid on TV, decides to watch it alone. The visuals of Dong-wook fighting against the queen in her sanctum are being broadcast. Seeing an S ranked for the first time, the people watching are so amazed that the lady sitting in her room can hear their reactions from their houses. We are shown the broad range of broadcasts of the battle, from digital billboards to TVs to mobile phones to even the whiteboards in offices, being watched by all kinds of people, from couples to office employees to families as well. Even the old man, now on the verge of tears, gives in to watch Queen being slain such that he can witness his son getting avenged for his death. Viewership has reached a record-breaking 85%, as informed to us by the employees at the news headquarters. If the Hunters manage one last push at full strength, they will be the 5th country after the USA, China, Russia, and France to clear an S-ranked gate. Taegyu is seen firing arrows directly at the Queen's head. Yoonho motivates the team by calling a Queen without bodyguards a husk. The Queen, in retaliation, releases a potent fluid that deals extreme damage to Yoonho and Dong-wook, almost getting them to pass out. However, Byung-gu uses his strong healing powers to heal them back to their normal strength, as if the Queen's attack had no effect. Byung-hu taunts the Queen in confidence that she should attack the healer out of any team members. The Queen rushes to attack Byung-gu, who is protected by Dong-wook, who wouldn't let the healer be targeted that easily by the Queen. Jong-in orders everyone to back up and powers up to release a powerful attack that enfolds the Queen in flames, dealing damage that makes Yoonho affirmative that the Queen has indeed lost and is on the verge of death. But then, the Queen lets out a massive screech so strong it pushes the whole back. Yoonho is trying to figure out whether the screech is just a last roar, a death cry, but from his years of experience, it feels a bit different, as if she were calling for something. We see Sugimoto shocked as he sees the ants heading back to the nest, even though the interference wave is still running. Ryuji is also in disbelief that the interference wave does not affect all of a sudden the ants. Back inside the tunnels, Hae-in delivers the final blow to the Queen, slicing off her head. She looks around, asking if it is over. Taegyu, also in disbelief, asks if they just became the 7th team to clear an S-ranked gate. Yoonho feels something unusual in the air. Right then, Dong-wook is informed that they are heading back, and that they have to get out of the tunnels right now, as they still have some time to escape. Yong-in senses that the flame net he placed around the nest entrance has been breached by something very powerful. Just then, the team senses an overwhelming aura that stuns them. An ant possessing power they have never witnessed emerges from the shadows. Yoonho was in shock at the sheer power of the black ant with glaring red eyes. The ant lets out a terrifying roar that creates an enormous shockwave felt across the entire island. Yoonho doesn't believe that a single beast can possess such power. Yoonho is unable to truly comprehend that such power is from a single beast. Hae-in collapses on her knees, covering her nose due to the dark energy spread throughout the whole cave, due to the ant's presence not being able to believe that such energy can exist in this world. The ant's power is so menacingly extreme that it instills fear in the strongest hunters in Korea by just its footsteps. Dong-wook realizes that if they have a chance at making it out of the tunnels, they must quickly attack the ant and defeat it. As the ant moves, it casually walks past Dong-wook as if his existence is insignificant and unnoticeable to the ant. The ant walks past the hunters to the Queen's dead body, staring at it. The hunters watch the ant with dread. The ant opens its claw and lets out a roar, bringing the hunters to their knees just by the pressure from the roar. It then glares at the hunter with its glaring red eyes, with an intent to kill and take revenge for the Queen. Hae-in is barely able to stand due to the creature's presence. The very next moment, the ant appears behind her without even being noticed by anyone, and before she can react, the ant lands a massive blow to her left, which sends her flying to one of the cave's walls, coughing up blood. The ant instantly appears behind Dong-wook, who is still shocked by Hae-in being injured. He defends himself with his shield, but with a single punch, the ant shatters it into pieces and injures his hand. Dong-wook then tries to strike the creature with his sword, but the ant grabs it and slices off his arm. Blood splatters across his arms as the ant locks in to attack his next target, Yoonho. He slashes him with a swift attack that incapacitates him as well. Jong-in prepares to attack the creature, but before he can finish, the ant attacks him, defeating him in a single blow as well. Taegyu from a distance tries to attack with his powerful arrows, thinking that they won't miss from such a distance. To Taegyu's shock, the ant stands in his place, catches the arrow, and snaps it in half. The ant counterattacks Taegyu and delivers a powerful punch to his face, knocking out Taegyu. The ant midair is pushed back with enormous force before it can react and sees Dongwook with both of his arms recovered by Byung-goo's healing magic, ready to fight the ant, this time being able to land a direct punch, but the ant grabs him with his legs and throws him away once again, beating him, showing his dominance. Byung-hoo, who has been healing his team under his camouflage, was confident that as long he is in battle with his healing capabilities, is now seen doubting his camouflage. Yoon-ho tries to warn Byung-goo, but before he can react, he is impaled in the middle of his torso by the ant claw. He is powerless to do anything but to look at the claw now sticking through his body. Yoon-ho helplessly calls out to his dying friend. With his last bit of breath, Byung-goo tells his friend Yoon-ho to run. The horror continues as the ant mercilessly starts devouring Byung-hoo's head right off. The hunters watch in terror when Yoon-ho, consumed in anger, charges at the ant to avenge his fallen friend, but the ant effortlessly grabs him by his neck. Struggling for air, Yoon-ho depowers back to his human form. Trying to get away from the ant's grip, he hears a voice telling him to run. Looking at the ant's face, he hears Byung-hoo repeating the same sentence, further angering Yoon-ho. Suddenly, the ant starts speaking as he has essentially absorbed Byung-goo, and not just his body, but his strength and knowledge. The ant says that he and the other ants have lost their queen, and for true retribution have to target their king, so he asks Yoon-ho, "Who is your king?" Yoon-ho, hanging helplessly in the ant's grip, had no idea what the ant meant by king. We see the current state of Hai-in, Jong-in, and the cameraman frozen from shock. Suddenly, the ant paused and felt a strong presence outside and flew towards the tunnel's exit, releasing Yoon-ho from his deadly grip instantly. The impact left Yoon-ho in a critical state. Yoon-ho, recollecting himself, thinks that the strong presence the ant mentioned is probably Goto Ryuji. He realizes they have no time to think and wait and have to escape immediately or they will be wiped out. His thoughts were interrupted as he was taken aback by the sheer number of ants approaching their section of the cave. Outside the tunnels, Goto Ryuji, along with Ishida and Hoshino, were heading to the location of the other teams. Ishida remarks that something isn't right as neither Team Delta nor Team Charlie has responded for a while. Ryuji responds by saying this might be due to a transmission issue. He checks in with Team Bravo. Team Bravo gives their status report and has been only able to contact Team Alpha, who asks if they should check on their condition. Ryuji says he and his team are headed that way and orders them to reach their extraction point. He is then contacted by Chairman Matsumoto. We see a ship near China where a crew member and captain are discussing the Jeju Island raid and Goto Ryuji. The captain explains how Goto Ryuji is probably desperate to be a national class hunter, and all the national hunters up to this point have cleared an S-rank raid. Even though Ryuji is well accomplished in his career, he has still never cleared an S-rank raid. The captain says, "I wonder out loud." The crew member, confused, asks the captain what he meant. The captain vaguely answers that he sees this as a convenient excuse and that Goto Ryuji's goal of being a national class is still an outreach for him. The crew member asks if he really thinks that, to which the captain says that he would understand if he ever had a single look at Ryusei Kang, he would agree to. The crew member is amused at the captain's admiration for Ryusei Kang. The captain concludes that the end of the raid will cause issues for one of the countries. We see Goto Ryuji has reached the location where Team Charlie and Team Delta were positioned to find the dead bodies of both team members. The chairman asks for updates, to which Ryuji informs of the fatalities. Ryuji says that they were weak, so it is nothing to worry about, and we also see the heartlessness of the chairman, who doesn't care if a few die as long as Ryuji survives. Ryuji further updates on the Korean team fighting with the queen and the malfunction of the jammers, causing the ants to head back to the tunnels. When asked about the chances of the Korean team's survival, he says they are 0%. The chairman is antagonistically shown smiling and pleased on hearing about the annihilation of the Korean team. Continues to say how Goto Ryuji's plan to be a national class hunter has sadly failed, but the elimination of the Korean hunter is a success, and orders everyone to pull back. Goto Ryuji agrees and orders his team to head back as well. However, he is interrupted by a powerful attack that is defended by Ryuji, but Ishida's head is sliced off cleanly. Ryuji senses the power of the ant and orders Minoru to run away and join Team Bravo, as he will just get in the way. He comes face to face with the ant and appreciates its cutting presence. The ant asks if Ryuji is the king, to which he confidently claims that he indeed is the king the ant is searching for, as he raises his sword prepared to battle. The ant opens its claws, letting out a deafening roar that stuns Ryuji in his steps. He recollects having sensed such power before as Jinwoo's face flashed in his mind. Just then his sword snapped and a severed head fell to the ground. In an instant, even Japan's strongest hunter has fallen. We are taken back to the tunnels where the S-rank hunters are defending themselves from a horde of ants. Only Jong-in is in a condition to protect the rest of the team with his fire magic. They are backed into a corner due to the injuries they suffered in the face-off with the ant. Yoonho asked if Jong-in could increase the intensity of the fire, which Jong-in denies as it would use up the little oxygen they have left. Yoonho is grateful that even before falling, Byung-gu was able to heal the team from critical injuries, but they are nowhere near normal, and their only hope now is Jong-in. We see Jong-in's attack causing damage to the ants, but a few still get close to them. Yoonho feels that this is as far as they go. Suddenly a shadow appeared from the ground, stopping 2 ants from getting closer. Yoonho is shocked, wondering who the black warrior is. We get a close-up of the warrior's face, and behind the blue light on his face, we see a city in South Korea. As we get closer, we see Jinwoo standing there, as he softly says the word, exchange.